Hi guys, Kaiser here. Welcome back to the channel. Age of Empires 2 just came out with a new patch, and so I thought it'd be fun to put together a video providing an overview and a review of the different materials of the patch. They're advertising it as a fairly big patch, so let's go ahead and dive right in. Come jump into another fun-filled release with exciting updates, in-game ranked map pool voting, a huge list of fixes, and more for AoE2 Definitive Edition. And I'm going to go ahead and say that the in-game ranked map pool voting is the big part of why this is considered a big patch. It's one of those things that maybe it's easy to undersell or not appreciate how much work would have to go into getting this in the game. But now there will be voting that takes place whenever a new season comes up or a new rotation of the ranked map pool. And we'll actually get to vote on which maps we want to see in the game. So that should be a lot of fun. I'm really excited to see that and take advantage of it. It'll be interesting to see what people vote for. With this huge update, we're celebrating in style with a new Dress to Impress event. Unlock Golden Fleece Wearing Sheep and Crusader Knight mods, plus some really impressive profile icons. Okay, cool. Alright. Build Spotlight. The Dress to Impress event is celebrating a big update, dress in style. Welcome to the Dress to Impress event. Grab your best armor, shine it all up. Maybe grab your golden sheep too and come battled out with some flair. So, let's see. If you sign into Xbox Live, you unlock the Voxmut von Kunzingen profile icon. Okay, that might not be how it actually is set, but required to save any rewards unlocked during the event. Neat, neat. Okay, build 2 town centers. Unlock a graphical mod where sheep wear golden fleece. Unlock a graphical mod where men-at-arms are using a Zolotl sword. And there is some discussion on the Reddit page about, is this a sign that they're actually moving toward regional units, regional skins? Because we do see, and I wish that I had thought to pull up a screenshot of it, but it's like an AoE2 men-at-arms unit, except it's sort of dressed in this Mesoamerican attire, and it looks like it's appropriate for the Mesoamerican Civ. It's what you would want for a regional skin. And, they've done a little bit of that here and there, and it's just a sign, like, hey, are they maybe actually planning on doing something with that? It'd be very exciting if they did. I'm a big fan of that idea. I understand keeping it optional for competitive integrity, but I really like the idea of it, and I would certainly use it in my own games. Unlock a profile icon of a powerful knight wearing medieval tournament gear with a decorated helmet and armor. I'm not a huge icon guy, but I gotta say, that is pretty neat. That looks kind of Iron Kaiser to me, so I might just have to try to snag that one. Unlock a graphical mod where the Crusader Knight replaces the Paladin. Ooh. Unlocks a Black Knight graphical mod for knights. Neat. Very neat. Alright. But I know that's not what you're here for. You want to look at game changes. Fix an issue where players could get stuck on the main menu screen after accepting an invitation, successfully joining a match. Alright, you can look through all of these. These are pretty neat. Just fixing areas where the game slows down or gets stuck. It's really neat, really neat. Some achievement fixes, graphics fixes, UI fixes. I actually want to highlight this one. Armor value or icon no longer disappears in tooltips when a building or unit has an armor value of -1. I like that a lot. It no longer disappears. Very good, very good. Alright. But let's dive into gameplay. Here we go. This one fascinates me. Removed reaction distance modifier for predator animals like wolves and snow leopards, depending on difficulty, and made it so that predator animals always find villagers within 6 tiles and other units within 4 tiles. Easiest difficulty on scenarios and campaigns will still use 4 tiles. I find this fascinating because in 1v1 matches, whenever you're setting up a game like with a friend, that, to my understanding, was the only point to setting the difficulty level. If you're doing a 1v1 and you're setting the AI difficulty, well, the only thing that would matter is, how likely is it that predators will see your vills? I remember at least one game in the Noob Cup, we actually had to reset because someone accidentally set the difficulty level too high, which meant that the wolves were more aggressive than they should have been. And so, we kind of had to go back and fix it. With this change, it seems like difficulty no longer makes any difference, unless I'm missing something. Difficulty no longer makes any difference when it comes to, setting up a 1v1. There are no computers involved. Interesting. Okay, some nice fixes. I like it. I like it. All right, campaign missions. I'm going to go ahead and skip through these. You will see there are a lot of fixes to the campaign. All right, to the various campaign missions, but not really my thing. Civilization balance. Here we go. General, and these are big. Crossbowman research cost increased from 125 food and 75 gold to 175 food and 125 gold. I gotta say, and then Arbalest is also increased by 100 food and 100 gold, from 350, 300 to 450, 400. In my opinion, this is a good change. I like this. I think that Archer civs get it a little bit too easy. You know, if you survive the feudal age and you get up into castle, it is too easy to make the jump from archers to crossbowmen and to start putting out that crossbowman damage. And I like that it takes a little bit more investment, both in terms of food and in gold, to get the archers up to crossbowmen. Whereas if you're playing, again, a knight civ, you have to get to the castle edge before you can even start producing knights. I think that that is a fair change and a good change. Yeah. Gives them a little bit more of a speed bump. Dark and feudal... excuse me. Stone walls increased from, well, another 1080. From 900 to 1080, Dark Feudal Age stone gates increased from 1375 to 1650. Okay. Pretty nice. I guess that might impact primarily something like Arena. If you're, if you're playing Arena and you're trying to do some kind of off-the-wall feudal fight, it's going to be a little bit harder. In my experience, most players do not use stone walls in the Dark and Feudal Age, so I don't know how relevant that'll be, but that's good. Elephant Archers. I like these two bonuses. Elephant Archers has its Cav Archer armor increased from -7 to -4, resulting in less bonus damage from skirmishers. On top of that, they also cost 10 less food, down to 80 food and 70 gold. So they are not quite as food intense, and they are not quite as heavily countered by skirmishers as they otherwise would. And I think that's a very good bonus. It will make them more viable, easier to get into, and then not quite punished as badly. Whether that makes them viable at the competitive level or not, we'll see. Speaking of elephants, the armored elephant line is now affected by siege engineers. 20% damage bonus. So that's neat. I like it. I don't know if all of the civs get access to siege engineers. I don't know which one does and which one does not, but it makes sense. I mean, rams are affected by siege engineers, so why wouldn't armored elephants, right? Starting resource and villager bonuses are no longer disabled in Empire Wars. I'm not a huge Empire Wars player, but I do enjoy the mode. And that means that the Aztecs start with 50 more gold. Chinese starts with additional vills. Huns start with, I'm assuming that that's actually fewer vills. Not fewer vills, less wood. Inca start the game with a llama. Lithuanians start with 150 more food. Mayans start with an extra vill. Persians will start with 50 more wood and 50 more gold. Sicilians. I have no idea what the Sicilian bonus is, unless it's supposed to be faster building. But I didn't know that that was disabled, other than a starting TC and on Nomad. I don't know that Sicilians have a reduced bonus. And then Gurjaras start with berries. So, that's pretty neat. Great for Empire Wars. Age advancement bonuses are correctly applied for the starting age only when an age other than Dark Age is selected. Affects Ethiopians, Bengalis, and Dravidians. Bonuses for skipped ages before the starting age are still disabled. Now, I don't understand what this means, but it seems to me that what they're saying is if you were to start the game in the feudal age, the Dravidians, for example, get the 100 bonus wood that they would have gotten teching from from Dark to feudal age, right? Or the Ethiopians, don't they get, I want to say it's 100 gold? Same kind of thing, right? Bonuses for skipped ages before the starting age are still disabled. In other words, if I understand right, let's say that you started the game in the castle age, you would get the bonus for going from feudal to castle, but you would not get the bonus for going from dark to feudal. if you set the game to start in the Castle Age. That's how I understand that. Minimum buy price for all non-Saracen civs with guilds researched is reset to 23 instead of 25. So it seems like the minimum buy price has dropped down. Because now this is saying with guilds researched, but later on we'll see with the Saracens that it has also dropped. So I don't know whether that means... I don't know if guilds, does that like reset the cost? Or if it's just saying it's going to be... We're going to have to keep an eye on this, but it seems like it'll be easier to buy resources. At least initially. Alright, here we go. The fun ones. Bengalis. Monks receive +3/+3 armor. +3 melee, +3 pierce armor. That is the old Slavic unique tech bonus. You had to build a castle, and this was actually their... Was that their Imperial Age tech? Or their Castle Age tech? Either way, it was a Slavic unique tech, and now the Bengalis get it right out of the gate for free, which is pretty exciting. It definitely gives them a pretty unique edge and a kind of an extra flavorful, play style that they did not have before. So I also really like it because Bengalis want to go elephants, and if you're dealing with elephants, you got to worry about monks, right? The monks will convert the calf. Well, your goal then would be to build your monks to convert them back, and the extra melee armor, the pierce armor, means that they are going to be more likely to do that. Or, of course, you can use that armor to try to convert enemy knights or enemy siege more effectively. So, I like that. Tankier monks. Elephant archers and armored elephants, which, again, are already cheaper and they're not quite as countered by skirms. Now, they also receive the intended bonus damage from their counter units. The bonus resistance modifier applies after the armored subtraction from the damage instead of before. The bonus resistance modifier applies after the armor subtraction. Okay, so I'm guessing before they were taking too much damage, and that's been fixed. So now these units will receive less damage than they used to, if I'm reading that correctly. The Britons, who are my hated civ. This is the one civilization I seem to lose to all the time. I just got to wrap my head around them. I need to get better. The Britons receive access to treadmill cranes. So with treadmill crane, they can now build buildings faster. This makes them stronger. So a buff to my #1 most hated civ in the game. Oof. Okay. Congratulations to you Britons players. And again, I'm not saying, maybe, if Hero jumps in and says, nah, man, Britons are fine. Okay. But I'm just saying, my play style, I'm not good against them. Burgundians. Coutelier charge damage reduced from 25 to 20. Elite damage reduced from 30 to 25, the charge damage. And then the economy tech food discount reduced from 50% to 40%. I am so sorry, Hiram. You were a big Burgundian player. You still will be, but this is definitely a nerf for the Burgundians. Coutelier, whenever I played Burgundians, I didn't use Coutelier a lot. For me, their big thing was the eco bonus and then going into Cavalier in the Castle Age. And now with this eco tech discount, that means that you're not getting quite as much. It's not quite as easy to get those techs, and specifically, it won't be quite as easy to get those, next tier techs faster, because it will mean that you're paying a little bit more food to make it happen. Byzantines receive access to treadmill crane. Okay, interesting. That makes sense to me. They're a defensive civilization. I like that. All right. Cumans. Fix an issue where some Cuman herdable animals had 50% more food in them than intended. Okay, that sounds like a Tatar bonus issue. That's weird. Dravidians now receive bombard cannon. Ooh. Okay. All right, that makes them very much stronger in the late game. I think any civ that gets access to bombard cannon has late game power that a civ that does not. If you don't get bombard cannon, I feel like you're on something of a ticking time bomb to try to finish the game up sooner before your enemy can. Because if all you've got is trebuchet, trebs get countered by bombard cannons. Bombard cannons can do the job that trebs do, and do a way better job of countering trebs. So it's hard. It's hard to win the game if you don't get bombard cannon and it goes late. So that's a nice buff for the Dravidians. Gurjaras. Elite Shrivamsha Rider. Full agility recharge time increased from 15 seconds to 20 seconds. All right, so for the Shrivamshas, it'll be a little bit harder for them to dodge as many arrows as they used to in practice. You knock down that shield, it'll be harder for them to get the shield back up. Mounted units, additional bonus damage reduced from 50% to 40%. The Elite Shrivamsha Rider upgrade cost now matches the intended amount. Okay. I don't remember what it was, so that's, clearly a nerf. So far, all nerfs, which makes sense. The Gurjaras were, at the time, one of the strongest civs in the game. Maybe the strongest civ in the game. They could just counter everything. Shrivamshas countered archers, the camels countered cav, the I'm forgetting their names. The hoop thrower units. Their unique unit counter the infantry, right? So they are the ultimate counter civ, and just winning games left and right. So a nerf makes a lot of sense. The calculation of the food income from garrison herdable animals now uses a non-linear calculation where garrisoning additional herdable animals has diminishing returns. 15 times in food amount divided by 200 plus 1. Where food amount is the sum of food in all garrisoned herdable animals. This means garrisoning more herdables will have diminishing returns. Garrisoning all of a player's own herdables on a map with standard resources like Arabia now grants 15% less food income than before. That's really the highlight right there. So if you were to take all 8 of your sheep, just throw them in the mill, you're not getting quite as much food as you used to. 15% less food. Now, one of the ways that they, kind of the number crunchers discovered on the PBE is this can be avoided by building multiple mills and just placing the sheep into these separate mills. So you throw down a couple of mills and you take your sheep, you split them up, and they won't be impacted in the same way. Theoretically, if you had 8 mills and you put all 8 sheep in a separate mill, you'd have the same gather rate as originally. But now, probably what makes the most sense is to build maybe 2 mills, and that way you can get close to the old percentage, right? Fixed an issue where Shrivamsha Riders could not dodge the nearby blast damage of projectiles. Okay. Hindustanis is another strong civ. Ghulam HP reduced from 65 to 55 HP, and the Elite Ghulam HP reduced from 75 to 65 HP. All right, 10 less HP on the Ghulam, and they lose access to Halberdier. Okay. This makes sense to me because you already have very strong camels, and it seems like if you are playing against the Hindustanis, kind of like with the Turks, and you have survived into the late game, and you've strangled them out of being able to produce more camels, you should be awarded for that by their trash, their pikeman line not being as effective as a generic civ. That makes sense to me. I like that. And the Ghulam, of course, does mean that they won't be quite as effective as an all-around unit. Probably will still be pretty effective against archers, but maybe not as good of a generic, Eagle Warrior style unit. Koreans, Elite War Wagon Cav Archer armor reduced from 0 to -1, so what that means is skirmishers will do a little bit more damage to war wagons than before, and other anti-archer units will do a little more damage to war wagons. The Elite War Wagon. For the Malay, they receive access to Treadmill Crane. Okay. Malay, another civ I don't really get myself, so that's a nice buff. I got to admit, I'm not in the university as often as I should be. These are techs I should be taking advantage of, and I don't. So, that's nice. Here we go. Saracens Market minimum buy range is now reset to 21 instead of 25. Again, another nice buff there for the Saracens. Which, again, as I understand, this means right out of the gate, when the game starts, their market is even better than it used to be. Or if this has something to do with researching guilds and getting a bonus from that. I don't know. Sicilians, bonus damage resistance for land military units reduced from 50% to 33%. Oof. a nerf for the Sicilians, and a pretty sizable one. So the fun thing about Sicilians is that they did not take as much bonus damage from other units. So if you were going knights and your knights ran into enemy pikemen, the pikemen would not do as much bonus damage to the knights because you're Sicilians as they would otherwise. That's been nerfed from a 50% reduction to a 33% reduction. So your counter units, enemy counter units, will do more damage to your Sicilian units than before. And they lose access to Treadmill Crane. Okay. I love the Sicilians. They're a fun civ, so this hurts for me. I like the Sicilians. I would have liked to see some kind of buff for the Sergeant and the Donjon. I want them to strengthen the unique aspects of the Sicilians. So we're losing that damage resistance, which makes sense, but I'd like to see them get something in return when it comes to that Donjon, that, again, the Sicilian, the Sergeant. Yeah. And then the Teutons, my boys, the Teutons. We got an event, man. You know, we got Teutonic Knights, and we got Crusader Knights and everything. And you're gonna use now to nerf the Crusader Civ? A tear. Can someone Photoshop a little tear on that, you know, Crusader Knight? The Teutons lose access to Treadmill Crane. Which again, I mean, for me, I'm not in the university that often, so it's not as devastating as it might otherwise be for my own experience, but I did get Treadmill Crane every once in a blue moon. I need to get it more often. Well, that's not happening anymore. Not when I play Teutons, so that hurts. And while we're here, not that I'm going to go through all the map balance, but we got 2 new maps. Morass. Take advantage of the muddy morass surrounding the great tropical rainforest. The outskirts are rich in valuable resources and vulnerable wildlife. I'm not sure whether that's the outskirts of the muddy morass or whether that's the outskirts of the map, but looks interesting. Looks like a fun map. Shoals. The shallow waters only allow for small groups of fish, but conquering the sea will allow you to quickly reach your enemy, as well as take control of the large gold deposits near the coast. Fascinating. So this is one of those maps where you don't necessarily have to play at water. You could do just sort of your typical men-at-arms rush, scout rush, archer rush, something like that. But if the game goes on, you have a little bit of fish, but more importantly, it looks like bases are set up near the water and gold is accumulated near the water. And so that means control of the waters, you get control of the gold by proxy. That should be a really fun map for you water players in particular. Good Portuguese map, I bet. Okay, migration, fixed barrier, should bear fatal spawn for one of the players. Scandinavia. Okay, islands. Okay, that all looks good. Nothing worth really getting into. AI changes. Nothing that I think is worth talking about. I think this looks good to me. Modding. Importing local mods doesn't break subscribed mods anymore. Added support for installing mods with non-English characters. XS files now transfer correctly on either subscribed or local mods. I am not an AoE2 modder, but I have put up several videos on AoE2 mods, especially the Romae ad Bellum mod. And I'm hoping that this signals some good support and some things that those guys could use to make their mod, and for other modders out there to make your mods even better than ever before. So hopefully that's a good sign. What's on the horizon? Last bit here, and then we'll wrap this up. For our next event, we're throwing a party, a penguin party. Join the party to earn some cool rewards, celebrating the winter months in the summer hemisphere. Then in October, we're continuing the celebration as AoE officially turns 25 years old. Join us for exclusive events, very special announcements, and more as we celebrate across all games in the franchise. So remember, all right, here's that roadmap, right? And I had suggested at the time that fall did not mean first thing in September, right? Well, sure enough, it looks like this is setting up to be an October deal. It's Age of Empires' birthday, we now know that, and they're going to celebrate with a very special announcement. Who knows what that could mean? If I had to put money down on it, I think it means... I'm going to go big and say it's Age of Mythology Definitive Edition is going to be like the really big thing. If they're going to go big to celebrate AoE, turning 25, Age of Mythology Definitive Edition. And for AoE 2, I'm going to guess some kind of DLC that is different from what we've seen before. And I say that because of the 2023 pain. You know, so you like Dynasty of India, we're taking notes. That's like saying, all right, we want to do another expansion next year. So they're not ready to do another one in the fall. That's not happening in October. But some kind of DLC or some kind of really exciting, impressive mod. Something like a regional unique skins mod. Something like that. I'm going to guess that's what's coming in AoE 2 in October. What do you guys think? What do you think this is all about? What do you think about the patch notes? What do you think about these balance changes? You like them? You dislike them? Let me know in the comments below. For now, this is the Iron Kaiser signing off. Thanks, guys. Have a great one.